You're listening to your Food World Order Morning Monarchy, 10:21 a.m. here in northern New Mexico. Rarely imitated, never duplicated. The 20-plus year, well, I guess not plus yet. 20 years and stuff here in the kingdom. So speaking of numbers, how about the 17th installment of your monthly Mounsey Minute? One of the most important things we are able to do for you here in the Media Monarchy Kingdom. Our buddy Gavin Mounsey, up in the Great White North for the last year and almost a half. On the second Wednesday of the month, he gives us a breakdown. So I got you links to all the Mounsey Minute posts previously on Media Monarchy for you, and I also link you directly to recipesforreciprocity.com. But let's get the latest from our buddy Gavin Mounsey, who notes, contrary to their widespread and often misunderstood reputation, nettles are a nutritious wild superfood, an ancient whole-body medicine, a traditional textile plant, food for important pollinators, and a super compost activator and soil nutrient. Now let's listen to your Mounsey Minute. 17, Nettle, the underground resistance fighter.
This is Gavin Mounsey for Media Monarchy. I'm author of Recipes for Reciprocity, the regenerative way from seed to table, and this is the Mounsey Minute. This month I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite wild forest medicinal herbs and vegetables, which is stinging nettle. I'll talk about a few of the medicinal properties, and then I'll share 9 ways to enjoy nettle in the kitchen and in the medicine cabinet. In a similar way to what I described in my articles on birch trees, pine trees, and oak trees, this plant is found in almost the entire northern hemisphere of the planet Earth. So if you have ancestors that hail from either North America or Europe or parts of Asia, it's likely that your ancestors had a relationship with this plant. In the modern times of coddled, fragile, civilized humans, many people have forgotten about the gifts of this plant because they're scared of a little bit of discomfort. But our ancestors would have recognized the nutritional and medicinal gifts of this plant, and we should too. Stinging nettle is many magnitudes more nutritious than most of the vegetables you're going to buy at the grocery store. It's packed full of vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin K, really high in protein, calcium, iron, magnesium, potassium, beta-carotene, and lots of chlorophyll. If you check out my article on Substack, you'll see I wrote a little poetic ode to the stinging nettle plant. I'll share a little excerpt from it here. She creates underground resistance networks of rhizomes that refuse to comply with the edicts of monoculture-thinking humans living in artificial places of concrete, plastic, and glass. When the killing machines of civilization target her, she engages in botanical aikido, redirecting the energy to help her propagate her rhizomes and spread them further, coming back with a vengeance and thwarting the promoters of turf tyranny. She adorns her dress with shimmering trichomes, tipped with a translucent crystalline faceted shard filled with her defensive formic acid. She reminds us to pay attention. She does not politely and passively attempt to lure your attention like a visually pretty yet ecologically feeble, domesticated and pacified thornless greenhouse rose. No. She reaches out and evokes your awareness audaciously, speaking for the wild biodiverse places lost in the endless pursuit of progress. She evokes our attention and speaks in a language that humans cannot ignore. As far as medicinal benefits, nettle helps the immune system, the circulatory system, the urinary tract, the nervous system, respiratory tract, digestive system, endocrine system, helps you with allergies, and helps with reproductive health. Okay, here are 9 ways to enjoy nettle in the kitchen and the medicine cabinet. 1. Nettle soup. 2. Sourdough nettle rye bread. 3. Nettle pesto. 4. Stinging nettle iced tea. 5. Nettle ravioli. 6. Nettle smoothies. 7. 5-bean spring chili with ramps, nettles, and sautéed morels. 8. Cream of pine and mushroom soup. And last but not least, 9. Stinging nettle tea. That one really helps with my allergies. I love to mix it in with pine needles, ginger, and other ingredients that help to balance the immune system and optimize my body's health all over. The stinging part of nettles is actually a trichome, where the plant has hyperaccumulated silica from the soil and created a silica crystal spear with formic acid and other compounds in it, which creates the reaction in the skin. So while you're harvesting nettles, if you want to avoid the sting, if you actually grab them really quickly, you shatter the tips off of those little silica spears and they don't puncture through your skin. Whereas if you go slowly, they puncture into your skin. So that's one way if I'm harvesting and I don't have gloves or scissors at the time, I can actually grab them real fast without getting stung. And whether you're grabbing fistfuls of nettle or you're carefully cutting it with gloves and scissors, you can deactivate the stinging component of nettles by quickly blanching it in boiling water. So that's why when you make the tea and you boil the water briefly with the nettles in it and leave it to steep in there for a while, you don't have any of the stinging sensation. And the same goes for when you cook with it and use it in a recipe that would call for cooked spinach. I use it in soups and kimchi sometimes as well. Another cool thing you can do with stinging nettles is you can companion plant them around fruit trees, especially like pawpaws and nut trees, where your fruit and your harvests are going to fall on the ground, so you can avoid the squirrels and other creatures coming down and pick them before you can, because they don't want to catch nettle leaves in the eyes. So that way you just snip those nettles and harvest them down to the ground before you pick up your nuts or your pawpaws, and you got a defense system as well as another harvest right there waiting for you. That's it for me this month, guys. I hope this inspires you to get out there and try cooking with some stinging nettles, make some stinging nettle tea, and learn to appreciate this amazing plant as our ancestors did. Happy foraging.
Jesse Cook on Media Monarchy, Rattle and Burn, a 2021 single from Jesse Cook, Canadian guitarist, Juno Award winner, and he sold over 1.5 million records. Nice. Mounsey picked the song, he said, because, well, Jesse Cook's such a boss with multiple instruments, and because sometimes I do not always pick nettles with enough precision, gratitude, and foresight. And when I lazily or greedily pick nettles, I am invited to pay attention with a burning sensation that rattles around in my head for a few hours and days. Rattle and Burn from Jesse Cook, the accompaniment song to your Mounsey Minute, episode 17, Nettle, the underground resistance fighter. As always, I give you a separate MP3 download in the links to this show, where you can download it and share it with your friends so they don't have to hear all the crazy things I say. Tons of comments, though, from the chat about their own experiences with Nettle. I missed them here this year. They've already gone to seed. Better drink that Nettle tea. I'm harvesting my Nettle later today. Great vitamin C source. Nettle, as in the weed that makes you itchy? Nettle tea is the best. I want nettle seeds. I ate a nice couple of feeds of it when it first popped up. Do you mean seeds? You mean I can be proud of my northern ancestors? He's a bircher, turf tyranny, harvested some wood nettle this Mother's Day weekend, ate it with steak. Joseph, that sounds good. Nettles rise, they note in the chat. And even Doodlebug shows her nettle harvesting gloves that you probably could use to handle a wild cat if you need to.